Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today I'm going to take you through my top 5 Switch games of the year 2022, and I am not going to do it alone. I'm going to do it with the help of Mr. Xeon.
Alex, I did not bring anything for your list. Can I really help you here?
Yeah, in spirit perhaps, but also
good.
Mr.
Okay.
Felix.
Ooh, I'll join you as a spirit as well.
Oh, I see what he did.
Oh, that's a spicy meatball. Yes, Felix and Xeon have already taken you through their top 5 Switch games for the year 2022. You can find links to those in the description, but now it's my turn, and I do want to reiterate that these are in no particular order. So I'm just gonna open up with the classic, the chairman of the board itself is Splatoon 3. I love this game to a ludicrous degree.
Good.
I loved Splatoon 2 as well, and the more I've played Splatoon 3, the more differences I've seen in it. And don't get me wrong, it's not like night and day, but there are lots of big differences here. Lots and lots of little differences. Lots of little wrinkles that just make the game so much better overall. And, you know, the single player is an absolute blast, but the multiplayer is where it's at, and I'm just going to say it. Big run, my friends. That is just...
I was about to ask you if you tried that because
I
that was
loved
really
Big
fun.
Run. I didn't get to play as much as I'd like because I had a busy weekend. But yeah, I played Big Run. I love it. And I love the new way that they're doing Salmon Run. They're basically making it the second feather in the cap of the game. And I know they've got single player as well. But yeah, it's Salmon Run and Turf War and all the other stuff. You know, those are the two main pieces of meat on the plate that is Splatoon now.
It is really nice that you have these two completely different modes, so you can have the very competitive stuff, but then if you get tired of just, you know, going up against another team, you can team up with 3 other people and just go up against Salmonids, which is equally as fun, I would say.
Yeah, I would actually argue sometimes I prefer it, but it depends on the mood I'm in and whether I'm looking forward to the music going bum 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 bum. I'll stop that.
It's so intimidating.
It is that's some of the weirdest music I've ever heard.
It's great though. I adore Salmon Run. I adore the whole damn game.
I was so close to putting this on my list, but I had a lot of other games to talk about, and I thought, nah, Alex shall have this one.
Let the man see the rabbit, or whatever the expression is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a standard for the series now, but the game just runs like butter. Like, it is completely and utterly a perfect experience. The only exception being Big Run. For some reason, I don't know what it is. I actually experienced a bit of slowdown on Big Run. I couldn't tell you why. Maybe because the map isn't specifically tailored for Salmon Run. But yeah, I actually experienced some slowdown, which was honestly surprising.
I don't know what Big Run is.
It's
Uncultured swine.
I know. I'm so sorry, guys.
It's Salmon Run, but on like a standard multiplayer map. So it's like the Salmonids are invading. And it's really cool. It's a really interesting dynamic as a result. The maps are not designed for it, and as a result, it can be really, really hard. But I love it. I think it's great.
And the whole, like, the main hub turns really, really dark and old salmon. It's lovely.
Do you know what else is lovely, my friends?
What is?
You?
The next game on this... you get away with you. Nah. Not only that, but also Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Yes!
This is the only game this year that I can say with complete confidence, at least in terms of like big major releases, that I've completed 100%. I've got everything.
I was just going to say, you did that, didn't you?
Yeah. I don't often complete games to 100% because either they're too big or I've got other games that I want or need to play, but Kirby was the exception. I loved every second of it. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong, it's not a perfect experience. There are some issues, but overall, super polished, super fun. I just thought it was great. I just absolutely enjoyed the beans off it.
What sort of do you think pushed you personally to finish this game like 100% versus playing other, doing that with other games?
The feasibility of it. It actually seemed possible because I did the main, sort of the main storyline and all the main stages and everything, and every sort of step of the way, I completed each stage to 100%. Because it sort of felt like that game where, again, it felt achievable, so I did it, and I didn't move on to another stage before I got everything. So getting 100% once I completed the main game was arguably semi-trivial.
The gameplay is just so satisfying to play through. You have the main stages where you have tons of collectibles, but it's not too much so it gets overwhelming. You want to seek out and find these, but you also have these time trial stages that if you complete them in a certain amount of time, you get this special star and you can upgrade your specials. It's just a really nice gameplay loop, and I think it's also one of those games that when I come back to it, it's one of those games that I played it, I didn't quite finish it, I had a bloomin' good time, but I think when I'm playing it again, I'm going the Alex way. 100%, baby.
I can't see them taking Kirby in any other direction now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love 2D Kirby, but this was so...
A perfect jump to 3D.
Yeah, it was still Kirby in its DNA through and through. But my word, that jump, that extra dimension, that extra zhuzh, that pizzazz, that flair, that Kirby inhaling the letter O made of metal and then using himself as like a sail. Chef's kiss.
It was so effortless, and the whole thing where you could inhale a car and all that stuff, such a cool gimmick.
Kirby is my friend.
Who knew that 2022 would be the year to introduce all of these different video games that we know and love from the past to the bright and fantastic world of 3D? I didn't expect it, but
to be honest, this year's just been so big I completely forgot that Kirby came out this year. It feels so long ago almost.
I mean, this year's been mad for Kirby games because we also got Dream Buffet, which Nintendo has forgotten existed. But Forgotten Land is still easily one of my favorite games of the year. And do you know what else managed to make the leap to 3D spectacularly?
You?
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. It's funny because it's always been in 3D. Yeah, this easily one of my favorite games of the year. It's just an absolute blast. I don't know whether you guys are familiar with the original. It's essentially a walking simulator where, these strange things happen to your character Stanley, and he's in an office and some strange things happen. I don't really want to say too much. It's a bit of a Tunic situation where the less you know, the more fun you'll have. But suffice to say that this new version, it introduces more than enough content to warrant a re-release, and as much as anything, the original wasn't even on Switch. And I say original like the original wasn't a mod, and then there was Stanley Parable fans will know what I'm talking about. Stanley stands. That's the thing, isn't it?
People should also check out your review for the game because you did a really good job with that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that was ridiculously good fun to put together.
For anyone who doesn't know, he does it like in the style of the game. It's really cool.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
I always get a little nervous to watch reviews for games that I know that I want to play, and I think I built it up a little bit in my head as well because you were really excited to do this review and you were talking with me about it. But I did eventually, I watched the review and I played the game and I did really love it. I can see why you cared about this game so much. I did, yeah. Maybe it came and went, with discussion. I don't know, but I did back when it launched. I put maybe 5 or 10, maybe only 5 hours into it, but it was a really fun, just very strange game. And I also won't say more than that, but yeah, it's very much worth people's time.
Like I said with Sion and Tunic, just with the Stanley Parable, this is one of the games that I really want to play, and I think I'll play it here in the new year. It's not very long, and it just seems like a really good game. You talk so great about it. I'm excited, and I hope other people will pick it up because of you.
I just want to say, thank you very much. Also, I just want to say I am the Settings World Champion.
The what?
It's a thing in the game.
Okay,
Settings.
This isn't a spoiler, but you can get an achievement, in-game achievement called Settings World Champion or something like that. and it's for changing every setting to every possibility.
Oh.
And that includes all, like, you know, all the volumes from 0 to 100 and like every single digit. It's that sort of game.
Oh, I'm really excited.
Do you know what isn't that sort of game though? No Man's Sky. This is a port that I still like have to double take every so often. I recently played it on the Aya Neo Air. Did a video about that console recently, and yeah, it runs far better on that. But when you consider that the Switch consumes 8 watts at peak, it is frankly out of this world that the game runs as good as it does. It's not necessarily the best version of the game, but I don't bother to play any other version because it is so playable. And I mean, the actual concept of the game, the fact that there are 18 quintillion planets, which for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it goes, you know, numbers, they go million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, then quintillion. To give you an idea of how, you know, what the difference is in numbers between a quintillion and a quadrillion, it's about a quintillion. That's the line, isn't it?
That's more than 5.
It's substantially more than 5. You'd be amazed at how many more than 5 it is. And I just think it's great. And the fact that you will just discover planets in the game and it'll be like, hey, literally no one else has found this planet. And like, it's all connected online and everything. So if people have discovered a planet, it does tell you. And I found a few that people have discovered before me. And it's like, hey, I feel like I should have got here first. But then I've discovered like, I don't know, 5 times as many planets as I've found belonging to others. And it really puts it into perspective. And I was actually surprised at how engaging I found the story. Because you sort of feel that, oh, well, if it's all, you know, sort of generated content and stuff like that, how can it work? And I think they've been clever in how they've implemented it, where it just sort of takes you to a planet that maybe like fits certain criteria, and it's like, yeah, this has this on it. Yeah, okay, the next story beat's going to happen here, and it's like relatively nearby. It's really clever, and it's really good fun, and you could play it probably forever. Although you might get bored if you tried to play it for literally forever.
That's more than 5 years.
It is more than 5 years. You're learning so much today, Felix.
Do you know what I want to learn about? Your next game, Alex.
Well, Mr. Felix, my next game, it's a doozy. I mean, they're all doozies. Every game on every list that we've done for these 3 videos is a doozy. And this one, what a way to round it off. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It's not your one, Felix. That's a spoiler if you haven't seen that one yet. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I wasn't sure about this game at first just because, you know, I love Xenoblade, don't get me wrong, but Xenoblade 2 did feel like a substantial step back for me, at least thematically. I know it's a bit trite and, you know, you could say, oh, you just need to broaden your horizons. But I found Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to be too anime-y, and it just didn't gel for me. It didn't feel as...
Nani?
I know. Yeah, it just didn't feel as grounded for me, and so I just couldn't get into it in the same way. I still enjoyed my time with it, but nowhere near to the same degree as the first one. So I wasn't super sure I wanted it. I wanted 3. But I was still like sort of, oh, well, yeah, and it's the big commitment with time and everything. And then my partner Sasha got it for me for my name day, which was amazing. Name day's a Polish thing. Not that I'm Polish, but she is. So I adopt her present giving situation.
Free gifts is always a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a mini birthday. And I got Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I was chuffed to bits, over the moon. And I've played it, and I am so far from completing it. Like, I have got so much of the game left to go. But my God, it is just absolutely spectacular. I've been loving every second. The writing is fantastic. The setting is unlike anything else I've seen, except for maybe the other Xenoblade games. But even then, it is absolutely its own thing. The combat is really good fun. I feel like they've I don't know how they've made it more complicated, and yet it feels simpler than the other games. I really don't know how they've done it, but it is a blast from start to the point I'm currently at, which is about 30 hours in.
Do you feel like this game is better than the first one? How would you compare it?
Oh, it's quite a different game in many ways because Xenoblade 3 has 6 main characters, and amazingly, you care about all of them. I don't know how they pulled that off. Whereas the original Xenoblade, I know it gains a bigger cast of characters, but Shulk is the main character. And you could make the argument that Noah is the main character in 3, but at the same time, the others are so that they're not secondary characters. They are still primary characters. So it's a very different experience overall. I wouldn't necessarily say it's better, but it is absolutely on par. Like 100%.
It is kind of weird though that Xenoblade Chronicles 3's main mission, like the entire point of the game, is just to get Lanz something a bit meatier. Like I thought that it's just surprising that that's the direction that they'd want to. That's the story they'd want to tell. But it's what they always talk about. So.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of the constant chatter, being that there aren't enough voice lines. But at the same time, I've reached the point where now I'm just used to it, so it's not as big of a deal.
But it becomes this kind of fun thing, even like the Sonic, the oh no that we do, like the Lanz. Because initially I was like, oh gosh, Lanz, but now it's kind of like it's become kind of a joke, and I love hearing it. It's eventually it will probably grate on me after 100 hours or whatever, but I like it for now.
I'm waiting for the time that Lanz does get something a bit meatier.
Oh, please.
He's looking for a moon rock, you see.
Is that going to be it?
That's the joke.
Gosh.
Thank you for teaching me about your last game. I'm very teached. I'm fully teached today. Thank you.
He's so taught. Teach.
He's so taughted.
I'm glad that you, because from the outside looking into, I haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I totally see what you mean about it being a little, I don't want to say too anime, but that's just the style that it looks like that's the direction it looks like they went in. Where 3, from what I played of 3, it's so, I know we talked about this in Felix's chat, but it's very dramatic. And I appreciated that a lot here. Do you feel that 3 is more? Do you think it takes itself more seriously than 2 as well, or does it just?
I do. Yeah,
different?
It definitely takes itself more seriously. It doesn't feel try hard, but it takes itself more seriously. It treats things with a lot more gravity. Is the best way that I would describe it, which is appropriate given the plot. You couldn't really get away with a too lighthearted angle. I mean, maybe you could. The right writer maybe could, but I'm just pleased that this is the direction they've gone.
Man,
good.
There's so many games I need to play, and this is one of them.
So many games. But those are my top 5 of 2022. And I loved every single one of them, which is just as well, because otherwise it would have been a pretty rough year if I didn't enjoy one of my favorite games of the year. But yeah, if you like this list and you want to hear Xion or Felix natter on incessantly about their favorite games for the Switch from the year 2022, then make sure you check out the links in the description and let us know whether you've been inspired to give any of these games a go, or whether you've already completely and utterly trounced every single one of them 100%. You finished Kirby before it was released. In the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you tell a story all about that subscribe button named Stanley, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye bye.
All this time, and I didn't know our subscribe button had a name. It's Stanley.
You didn't know? That was like the first thing he told me when I joined the channel.
It was in the interview. It was a requirement. It was the first question.
I was there.